What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Mike Goolsby live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Good to be back with you guys. Goolsby, it's been a minute since we've had our show, but we are getting close to that time, Mike, where we have weekly shows again. Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We'll be live weekly day after Notre Dame games. Really looking forward to it. Mike, everything well on your end?
Life is good. Life is good. This will be year 4 for us, Singer.
Yeah. 2020 was our first year, right?
Mike Singer, Mike Goolsby, we are forever intertwined with Coach Freeman and his tenure. I mean, everything kind of runs parallel.
Yeah. Lotus says Cord team in the house. I did this for podcast audience, you just have to trust me on this. This little shamrock sign thing is battery, but it can plug in, so it doesn't use battery. So I'm standing with Goolsby tonight on Team Cord. So I'm with you, Mike.
You got to stand for something and you'll fall for anything. So if a cord is I appreciate that, man. I really do. It means a lot.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Of course, if you're not subscribed to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel, you got to link up with 25,000, not just 25,000 Notre Dame fans on our they're subscribed for free on our YouTube channel. So just hit the little subscribe button. And if you just can't get enough of Mr. Goolsby, head over to the Patreon. It's the link is in Mike's Twitter bio at Mike Goolsby 41. Mike and John Kennedy do an amazing job. I know, Mike, you're doing your all 22 during the season, some film breakdowns. So if you're
amazing is a strong word. Amazing is a strong word. I appreciate that. But no, I've got the all 22 locked in, doing some X's and O's breakdown with a former teammate of mine, Jared Clark, state championship head coach down in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be focused a little bit more on the personnel. I'm totally going to rip off Brian Baldinger, start doing like a Baldy's breakdown, kind of a snap-by-snap thing. And then, Monday nights, it's going to be wide open chat for Patreon subscribers. So it's a really good time. John and I have our own unique approach. And a lot of folks want to have the answers. We don't have them necessarily. But in terms of understanding the nuance of all things Notre Dame football, you'll overdose on nuance over there.
I love it. Two great guys, too. John, Goolsby, great dudes, and very entertaining. What do you guys call yourself? The oddball marriage of Notre Dame media?
Whatever. It's another interesting thing is it's like John and I grew up 20 minutes from one another, which is really wild and kind of came together in the Notre Dame world. But I think sometimes folks that are covering this thing, it's like they do forget that it is a form of entertainment, and we do try to keep it as such.
Yeah, and we do love good drama, whether we like it or not, or say it or admit it. You know, that's why people tune in during the off season. A lot of good chit chat. So, a lot of polls, various people's top 25 lists, yada 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 comes out. The AP top 25 preseason poll is always an interesting one. See what all the media folk across the country think. It's funny to me. I'm seeing this tweet over here from DraftKings mentioning how Colorado's not in it. Like the EA College Football 25 video game had Colorado as such this elite program, and they're nowhere to be seen in the top 25. But Notre Dame coming in at 7. You got Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Bama, Ole Miss ahead of the Irish. Thoughts on this, Mike? Just kind of in general, top 25. What's your reaction when you first see it?
Obviously, I'm more concerned with the postseason poll. This is exciting. Of course, Penn State's in the top 10, right? Like, of course,
right.
It's nice to see. And I was trying to make a corollary between the preseason top 25 poll and the 2025 recruiting class. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. We're number 7 in the AP poll. Where are we at with On 3, Mike, 2025 overall at this point?
Like, I think 11
okay.
or 12. Yeah, not
Ouch.
good. Yeah.
I saw another one. We're still in the top 10. But can you pull up that other tweet I sent you?
Yep.
So this is where my mind jumped to next. So I kind of did this math. adding up all of the finishes, dividing it out by 7. So if you average it out since 2017, we're just outside the top 10. It was like 10.4 when you do the math. So when I look at like a preseason ranking in the coming years of Notre Dame football, I don't think we're a championship team just yet, championship program just yet. Maybe you're a player away, maybe a deuce night away, wink, wink. But it's like before you take that next step, and Lou Holtz has talked about this kind of thing in terms of building a championship program, championship DNA. It's like there's levels to it. And I would just like us to be like a perennial top 4 to top 6 team. So as it stands now, we're like a top 10-ish team. So that I just like to really slide into lock us in as top 5, top 6 preseason every year.
Sure.
And then we could start to make a little bit of hay. It's just a couple different. It's close. We're close.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the other cool kind of thing to come from this is, okay, so you have the AP top 25. Well, if you use the AP top 25, you do a college football playoff using the preseason AP poll. And this is really interesting, Mike. I really want to hear your thoughts on this. You got Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, and Utah getting buys. You're 8-9. Notre Dame goes to Ole Miss. You're 7-10. Penn State goes to Bama. 5-12. Boise State at Oregon. Inject that into my veins. And Michigan at Texas. I mean, that would be some tremendous stuff. Yeah. I mean, the battle for Deuce Night and Ole Miss. This game would be after signing day. But anyways.
We kind of get, I mean, if you look at those, if you break that down into whatever that is, quadrants, we kind of get a raw deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we got SEC. You got a Texas, Michigan, Florida State. Like, I mean, if you look at the different quadrants, that's rough. And then I sit there and I just go back, like I look at something like that. And I'm like, brother, if we were a top 5 team and we all knew it and we all believed it, I'd feel better about looking at that. I'd feel better about a round 2 matchup with a Georgia. You feel me on that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Before we dive in a little bit more, Mike, on the Notre Dame side of things, like just so they have Utah as the number 12 team overall. This is, I mean, just the 12th best team according to the AP poll, but they get a first round bye. See, this whole thing with you got your Power 4 conferences. If you win your conference, you get a first round bye, right? That's how it works. I'm still learning this on the fly. I'll keep it on the YouTube chat. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. But if you win your conference, you get a bye. That just seems, or is it? No, it's the 4. Sorry, it's the 4 highest ranked conference champions. So I guess a group of 5 could be in there. But yeah, that to me, this is going to be overturned at some point. If you have the 12th best team getting a first round bye, there's going to be some teams who feel shafted by that. But I'm sure we'll get to that at another point. But any other thoughts on this, Ghouls?
No, not really. Dude,
this is so much more of a Tim Hyde thing than a Mike Goolsby thing.
Dude, I'm just, Tim's got the coach mind. I've got the player mind. I'm just like, look, we got to skip over the next 3 weeks. Let's get to a game. And I'm always going to take that week by week approach. I am, forgive me.
No, it's fair. It's fair, but topical. So I wanted to bring it up.
Sure.
Speaking of topical, this was interesting. This is from Notre Dame linebackers coach Max Bola. He says we're going to roll them. Speaking of his linebackers, like we have, because we've got 5 guys we trust, and I can't wait to do it. So the tweet from Blue and Gold here says that Notre Dame has rotated 5 linebackers evenly in fall camp: Kaiser, Sneed, Bowen, Osbury, and Kingston Viliamuasa. And to expect that to continue into A&M. So it doesn't seem like there's like a clear, these are the guys right now. And this is like the 2 or the 3 that are going to play the most. I mean, do you really buy that they're going to play 5 across the board evenly? Like, what are your thoughts when you saw this tweet?
I totally buy it. We talked about this on Patreon at length in terms of like defensive line substitutions, linebacker rotation, how those 2 groups marry up with one another. But yeah, they've all kind of got skill sets. And I was thinking about this, and I'm like, the two best, as far as linebackers, those five, the two with the best instincts and just the overall feel for the game, we're not talking about talent, size, all this other stuff, is KVA and Osbury. I mean, Osbury's a tremendous football player, and he can run. He's just, he's small. And then I think we've been talking about this for months and months now, Singer. It's like, what is the combination? If it's a 3rd and long, obvious passing situation, you can have a lot of fun with Osbury and Snead out there in terms of coverage, blitzing. If it's more of a mix down, can you slide a KVA in there at Mike and a Jack Kaiser at Will? Jack Kaiser at Mike for a 3rd down with a Jalen Snead in there at Will. So there's a lot of different combinations. Al Golden seems to do it. He's kind of like reinvented himself like every year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, can you get 5 kids enough reps where they're fully caught up to all things Al Golden's NFL scheme? I don't know. Or do you have different packages for different skill sets? It's going to be fun to see. The biggest concern with that group overall is just kind of like run fits, jumping out of a gap or something like that. But I think you'll see more plays, more forced fumbles, bigger hits, more splash type plays. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, Mike, if it's crunch time, right? Notre Dame's in their 4-2-5. Like, which two do you want out there? If they had to play 2 the entire drive, who do you want out there?
Like, we need a stop on this drive. We need a stop.
Yeah.
Probably KVA at Mike and Kaiser at Will. Think about it. I mean, you got the athleticism, you got smarts, you got crazy instincts with 6-year smarts, and he's, Jack's got his master's degree from Notre Dame. You want Jack to have that opportunity. Yeah. John and I, we always talk about just staying up late, and I was watching some KVA film, and Drake Bowen versus KVA. They're both great players. I prefer KVA. And I'm sitting there going, man, if KVA does get the win, just because I think get the nod or he becomes the quote unquote starter, because I just think he's a little bit more special, a little bit more fluid of an athlete. And I'm like, then I start to worry about KVA staying healthy all year, because he plays his off. Like, he plays hard. So it's like, you can't take every single snap against Northern Illinois like it's a championship game. Does that make sense? There is a degree as a starter. It's like I have to kind of protect myself and maybe take a little bit off the top in terms of my play style.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I've never been – oh, my gosh, is this real? I'm sorry. I'll get to that thought in a second. Is this a typo, Mike?
What's up?
Ain't no way Kingston's 6'3", 240.
Sure he is.
What? That's a wow. That's a 240? That's a Mike Goolsby. That
was 236-pound 17-year-old when I came to school there. So yeah, I mean, he's a big dude, and I'm telling you, like, he's not as deep chested as like he will become, because he's still a young man, right?
Yeah.
But we always talk about the frame, and
he
very,
carries it well.
Very long arms. And I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So you get CJ Carr's first drive in the spring game. KVA's running middle vertical, middle seam on cover 2, which isn't the easiest thing in the world for a kid to do, and almost picks off a pass, like one of his first sustained, playing time at a Notre Dame. KVA is really special. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got thumpers in there. If you want to go KVA and Drake, you got 2 just bulldogs in there. But something tells me I was just thinking about this the last day or so. Like, Osbury is a very good player.
He is.
And I just, like, give him time to get kind of lathered up and get into a flow of a game. I mean, he's a really, really good player. He's just small, but runs incredibly well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very young linebacker room, but I mean, this is what you would expect with a coaching staff that includes Marcus Freeman, Max Bulla, and Al Golden. 3 linebacker guys.
Yeah.
So it's
And
pretty
it's
good.
been frustrating. And obviously you bear witness to my frustrations with Maris the last couple seasons. But it's like
Who?
Maris Leafout, 3rd round pick.
You had frustrations with Maris?
I did.
Huh.
I did.
And we talked a lot Sam and Maris. I can't wait to see, because it's like a whole new team when it comes to some of the guys that Mike may or may not get on. So
it's fine. It's fine. It worked out well for Maris, but I'm just saying, back to Golden and Freeman, like stacking the shelves with talent, recruiting class after class, and it's like, okay, finally you get to the point where the dam breaks. You get to see some of these young kids rush in. So I'm thrilled for it.
All right, Goolsby. I looked our last show. I apologize. We try to do it at least monthly in the off season. Our last show is late June. So that's my bad. I had a lot going on in personal life in July. J Carr says, what was the prop Goolsby teased last time y'all did the show? Do you remember this, Goolsby? You teased up. Okay, can you tell us?
No, it's sitting right here.
Why can't you do it?
I need the right occasion, dude. It'll come up. I promise you. It's like I've got a couple props I'm working on. I'm not springing it during a preseason show 3 weeks out from a game.
So is it supposed to get us fired up, or is it like a victory?
It's just more of a gag, dude. It's just more of a gag.
All right. Okay.
But I remember. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Keeping with the theme of the On 3 show, it's the Blue and Gold show. It's low budget, but it's good.
Hey, man, my setup might be a little high budget. Got all the stuff for free from my brother.
You're good. You're good. You know what I'm saying.
I know. I'm teasing you. Mike, I was texting with you and Tim. It doesn't happen a whole lot anymore. I think you guys just, shut me out. Thank you. I'm kidding. You had said, though, after like the first day of fall camp, you're like, guys, I watched 2 minutes of all the sites post practice clips and stuff. You said you watched like 2 minutes of fall camp practice footage, and you said that you have so many thoughts. I want to give you the floor, Mike. You can talk about whatever the hell you want. Like fall camp, like what have been your takeaways and just seeing clips? You haven't been to any practices, but you've got to see pretty much all, other than the one practice the media got to go to the entire thing, but they couldn't shoot video of the entire thing. You've pretty much got to see everything if you watch all the different videos that get put out there. So what have you kind of learned from, I don't know, anything that's kind of stood out to you from watching these clips?
Sure. I can just run through it. I want to start with, and this is just camp thoughts, things I've seen on these little snippets, and you're just pouring over. Again, you're watching a 90-second clip 6 times. It's the old scrambled porn analogy from a year ago, right? Which is so fitting. You're 9 years old, 11 years old, trying to watch scrambled porn on the TV. It's the same idea. So Benjamin Morrison, coming off the shoulder procedure, if this kid with all the first round pick cachet and all the pressure and the money involved and all this stuff, if Benjamin Morrison is prepared to play against Texas A&M, like and kind of roll the dice, risk the biscuit, Mike, for that matchup, folks, go out and buy a Benjamin Morrison jersey. Like, he should be your favorite player, all things considered. To come back from that procedure in the short window of time that he did, and if he's going to go compete at a high level, go buy yourself a Benjamin Morrison jersey. And I got a chance to be around the kid. I mean, Mike, I'm sure you've talked to him through the recruiting thing and all this. You couldn't find a better kid. So that's number one, like a huge, pleasant surprise. Not surprised to see Adon Schuler kind of making some waves. I know you and I probably discussed that in months past in terms of, like, I was never a big Rod Hurd guy. I thought that Rob Hurd might get brought in to kind of supplant Jordan Clark with his injury history, whatever. So thrilled to hear great things from about Adon Schuler. Talked a little bit about linebacker. The defense as a whole, they're moving a lot differently, like, where it's like you can't tell, is that a safety or a linebacker? Is that a D end or a linebacker? Like, you can, like, when you just watch them as a whole, maybe squint your eyes, you're like, you can't tell what's what. There's just a lot of athletes running around. So very encouraged by that.
Okay.
Offensive line, I think Billy Schrauth like really jumps out. Like when you're just seeing the drill work, and offensive line are just incredibly lazy. I've always joked a little bit tongue in cheek, like they do those calculations, Singer. It's like if it's 13 paces or 13 steps this way and it's 12 steps this way, they'll take the 12. They always do that. They're lazy. Billy Schrauth just seems to be just have a lot more pep in his step. I saw Emil Wagner. And I thought he would look a little bit better just in terms of like the feet and all of that.
You're just talking about from those clips still, just Wagner?
Just from these clips. And it could have just been a little bit of camp leg or, again, you're going off of maybe one or two clips of an offensive line drill period. But I was like, Tosh Baker didn't look great either, man. He almost moves around like he's hurt. Just in terms of like the biomechanics and all that. So I'm not worried about the offensive line per se, but I mean, I've always said I thought it was going to be a lot of moving pieces. And I still think there still might be some pieces to be moved around. Now, wide receiver, I saw a clip. I think their most recent practice, they might have just been in helmets, no pads, no nothing, right? Basically T-shirt, shorts, and a helmet. And they were doing a route on a cone, and they look good. But even the walk-ons look good. But the group as a whole looked good.
I'm telling you.
I'm open to saying like the wide receiver room it can't look worse, but they might be better than my jaded little heart wants to believe they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And my eternal optimist heart is excited about the group. I think Mike Brown's going to do a really good job with the group. I know Bo Collins was just kind of steady at Clemson, never really broke out, but I think he's going to have a really good season as number one potential for the Irish this fall. And I think Chris Mitchell can be a big play guy. Jaden Harrison looks really good, Mike.
Can we talk about this?
Please.
Back to the clips. Jaden Harrison to me, again, moves a lot like Tyreek Hill. I mean, looks like a Tyreek Hill, a poor man's Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Slightly pigeon-toed, Faison pigeon-toed. We love that over here. But I don't think Jaden Harrison has natural hands. It just really doesn't look like he's an easy catcher of the football to me, just watching a couple clips. What do you make of Singer? It seems like as of now, Chris Mitchell's your starter to the field. Greathouse is your starter at slot. Reports Jaden Thomas is going to be your boundary. So it's like, obviously, you maybe don't want to just give the job to Bo Collins, let him and Jaden Thomas fight it out. Who cares who's the starter? I get that too. But what do you make of them trying to like force or work Faison into the field? Is that because Greathouse is so good at slot? Or is it because Mitchell isn't that good at the field? I don't know.
Okay, so we agree. Mitchell's the field guy, but there's still dude, Greathouse looks really good on those clips. So I would lean more towards it. It's about Greathouse. And going back to last year, I remember debating with Hyde, like he would choose Faison over Greathouse, and I was just like shocked that someone could have that opinion. I love Greathouse, or I love Faison, but dude, I think Greathouse is going to be a number one receiver for this team, even in the future, even if he continues out of the slot. I think he can be that guy. So no, I'm a huge Greathouse guy. I think it'll end up being Mitchell is going to be. This is just my opinion. I think Mitchell is going to be either you're super fired up about him because he had like a 4-catch, 80-yard, 1 touchdown game, or he's kind of nowhere to be seen. I think that's going to be Chris Mitchell. And I think Bo Collins, Jaden Thomas, Greathouse are going to be the steady guys. I think Faison will get some balls. I think Harrison will be a quality over quantity kind of guy. And who else am I forgetting? I know you want to talk about Deion Colsey. But they always talk about 6, Mike. 6 receivers. I've never liked that. Why do we got to limit it publicly to 6? I don't know.
It is a strange approach.
Unless they want the pressure on those guys. But do you have a 6 in mind? Do you want to work this out together?
We can do it. I mean, it's Collins, Thomas, that's 2.
Mitchell, obviously.
Greathouse Faison is 4. Mitchell,
Wait.
Kate, go ahead.
No, sorry, we're at 5. So who?
Start
so then you
over.
got it.
Start
Okay,
over.
All right,
Thomas,
Collins, Mitchell.
We're going back to the field. Mitchell, I'll just say Faison.
Greathouse. Or did I just say Greathouse?
That's Greathouse. So that's 5.
So then is it Colsey? Is it
nope? Colsey's still dropping passes.
Is it I'm on the wrong.
Is it KK? Is it Micah Gilbert?
Yeah, Gilbert.
Is it Jaden
Harrison?
Who is it to start the season versus who is it midway?
Who's it to end? Yeah.
I don't see it with Jaden Harrison just doesn't look like a natural catcher of the ball.
So he might be in a category of his own, Mike, where he's kind of the gadget guy and not necessarily, one of your traditional 6. So it might be like 6+1. I think that if it's choosing between KK and Gilbert, that's really, really difficult for me.
Well, Denbrock mentioned KK a couple times. He sprinkled his name in there.
Yeah, and he's a name I've been hearing from sources since spring ball as someone that really, because I want to say he was hurt for all of last season.
Yeah,
he is someone that I've heard a lot going back to the spring. He had a really good spring, but Gilbert also did. But KK is a little bit diffy, as the kids say. With that speed. And then Ryan says, and throw to the tight end 90% of the time.
The receiver thing.
Yeah.
Who is going to take the top off the defense? Who even has a genetic potential to do it? KK Smith, I think, does. Chris Mitchell, you hope does. And maybe a Faison. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's
I just think about there's some of these things I sort of see and I take into saying I can't unsee them. When I think about Texas A&M, and we're going to talk a little bit about Elko versus Denbrock, the chess match there.
Go ahead. Let's get into it.
So there's a tie-in here to the receiver thing. And it's just can we just get to the damn game already? But it's okay, we're a little bit iffy about our tackles, right? We don't feel amazing about our tackles. They've got NFL defensive ends. Yeah. So you listen to people, it's we leave a tight end in a chip, or we leave a back in a chip and help out in pass pro. It's or do you move the pocket with Riley Leonard, which is more of what I can kind of foresee, or is a little bit of quick game? Is Mike Elko going to really try to heat us up, bring extra pressure, bring extra blitzes, which creates one-on-ones? Now we sit there and go, oh, that's going to be Randy Moss one-on-one deep shot. I don't see that. Yeah. I see us having to break tackles at the wide receiver position where it is a Jaden Thomas catches that little short route against man coverage and he's got to step out of a tackle.
Now, do you feel comfortable at Notre Dame's receivers breaking tackles? That's the question.
I feel more comfortable about them breaking tackles in a week 1 scenario where there is a bit of a pucker factor on both sides of the ball than I do us getting over the top. Outside in particular, I do think you can do a lot with a Raritan running down the seam or a double move from a Jaden Greathouse in the slot, working the hashes. But that's just something I just can't unsee that in that a Jaden Thomas type, a Collins-ish, Faison can break a tackle, a more of a quick game, step out of a tackle and go score.
Yeah. Faison moves pretty well north and south, quick cut, dive ahead, get a few extra yards.
He's different. He's special, man. I mean, he really is. And, you can talk all day about Greathouse. He has the personality. And he does, Mike. He looks like a different player.
He does, dude. What was he? Okay, so right now, what number?
He looks thinner. 19? He looks more loose, more fluid.
What number is Greathouse? He just changed number to 1 or something.
Number 1. Yeah, he's number
6'1", 215. Last year, 6'1", 204. So he's put on 11 pounds, but really done it in a good way. Yeah, that's.
So that's baby fat type thing. That's that body transformation type thing. But I talked to him at the spring thing. I was like, brother, man, you're moving different. Did you switch up your training? He's like, no, I'm just more confident. I'm playing faster. I know what I'm doing. Did you see back to the Faison wide receiver thing?
Yeah.
Faison and Riley Leonard were on Sean Crawford's podcast, the Varsity House podcast.
Shout out Sean Crawford.
Shout out Sean Crawford. And Faison played safety and was like an option quarterback or something in high school, like a wildcat quarterback in high school.
Okay.
And then Faison's talking about his progression as a wide receiver at Notre Dame, learning it by going off of the cards. I mean, you remember Card Singer? Like at practice, the coach holds the play up. It's like there's a
like
line.
when you're on scout team. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was just out there following the lines. And then he ends up being, arguably our biggest playmaker at the position.
So, in other words, no real coaching or anything, just kind of self-taught.
Ability, talent.
Ability and talent, yeah.
So, I mean, think about that. So when we talk about like a KK Smith or a Cam Williams, like getting them on the field, Hyde and I have been talking about this for years. Why can everybody else play these high-end young wide receivers and we can't? There is something to be said about just, raw ability. Let them go figure it out in the fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are my initial camp thoughts, really.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What about quarterbacks?
Well, that's the other thing about quarterbacks, Singer. I wanted to talk about that.
Oh, how about that?
I try to watch as much of this as I can.
Yeah.
Coverage. Is it just me or are we still really not talking about Riley Leonard a lot? And we being the media, fans, whatever. You know what I mean?
And okay, talking about him in what way?
Just in general. Like, put it this way. So when he came over, he was an athlete. That's what I started calling him, an athlete playing quarterback. Because famously, he was supposed to be like a shooting guard and played college basketball. COVID hits. He gets like one Division I offer. He ends up, now he's got like a potential first-round pick ability because of his physical traits. And even, dare I say, some of his intangibles, his competitiveness, leadership, all this other stuff. But there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of developing as an actual passer and a quarterback. And are we hearing about that progress? They had him up there at the press conference and they were talking about like the EA Sports video game. It's like, you get three minutes with Riley at the podium and we're asking him about a video game. So I don't know if we're hearing enough about his development.
Yeah, we definitely talk about him less than we did Hartman. But this is a conversation we've had in different ways for the past 8 months or 7 months, whatever. I don't know. I don't personally have any thoughts on it.
So I'm just curious on how he's really doing, like really dig in to his progress at the position. Then beyond that, like the number 2 thing, it still frustrates me. Like if Riley did get hurt, who's the backup? Are you going to go with Steve over a more talented Carr or Kenny in a big time high stakes game? It's just like, it'll never make sense to me. So that's something I'll forever be frustrated with if it stays that way.
Just knock on wood and hope it doesn't happen.
That's fair.
Yeah. Let's stay on quarterbacks.
That's a great plan. What do we do if this happens? Well, we I can't think about it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not a Steve believer, then and if that's who they're going to put out, then there's nothing else to say on it. I don't know.
Oh, there's plenty to say, but you hope it works out.
Speaking of quarterbacks and hoping it works out, Mike.
Nice segue, brother.
Deuce Knight predicted to flip to Auburn last week, and it's been a little bit quiet the past few days. A lot of different reporting, a lot of different rumors. This one has been something that I feel like I could write a book about, Mike. It's been wild behind the scenes, and there's reasons for optimism. He, there's a lot of talk about him flipping already, and it hasn't happened yet. And then there's a lot of reasons still to be pessimistic that he will end up somewhere in the SEC. I've talked about this on shows, and I'm sure I'll talk about it with Tim tomorrow or Kyle on Thursday, but I want to get your thoughts on just this saga in general, Mike, as you've watched it unfold a little bit here the past couple weeks since he visited Auburn and I believe Ole Miss at the end of July.
It would be heartbreaking if the decommitment, if the flip did take place, it'd be heartbreaking. Going back to like that AP ranking, man, I just want us to be like a top 5, top 6. Book it, team, and you're one player away. And you think about like this crazy environment that we're about to go down to at Texas A&M in a few weeks, just raucous game day drinking. And it's just like, you're not going to be able to hear yourself think. Offensive execution could be a little clunky. And it's like, boy, if you just had that athlete under center, man, he can fix a lot of things just naturally.
Yeah.
So it would be devastating. But in terms of like the recruitment, nobody really knows you've got your opinions. We talked off air. I've got my opinions. Here, 1 second, Singer.
Oh, yes.
So it's my tinfoil hat. Don't put me on single screen. Don't do that. So this is my
gosh, this was the prop.
So it's my conspiracy theory is the tinfoil hat there. So I figured I might as well just make one, So as it pertains to Deuce Knight, Mike, just think about this.
Yeah.
Is there something going on, whether it's Dante Moore, whether it's Keon Keeley, whether it's Peyton Bowen, whether it's Ivan Taylor, the high end headliners of these recruiting classes?
I'm good. Just keep going.
They're surfing that wave with that Notre Dame branding. Oh, here I go.
No, keep going. You're good. I got to fix this.
My question is like, whether it's, again, Dante Moore, Keon Keeley, Peyton Bowen, Ivan Taylor, they tend to commit early, use Notre Dame's brand to elevate their Instagram followers, Twitter followers, etc., like boost their NIL grade, evaluation, whatever it is, and then dip out at the 11th hour. So that's my tinfoil hat kind of conspiracy theory there. And like, would Deuce be one of those kids that would do that? Are they doing it consciously? Are they doing it semi-consciously? Is it strategic? I don't know. But that's where I'm kind of left. Because Notre Dame is such a national brand and more people know who Ivan Taylor is today or know who Deuce Knight is today than they did a year ago. And a lot of that's due to the Notre Dame branding and the national following.
Okay. Can you hear me, Ghouls?
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, my camera just jacked up and is not working and it's not letting me switch to my backup. Like I said,
low budget, man. That's what we do.
Hey.
Maybe that tinfoil threw off the signal or something. Maybe it did its job.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is fun stuff over here, brother. All right. Did you want to get more into? Sorry for making you go solo cam here while I try to fix this.
You're fine. Over.
I do want to pop this up on the screen. We were talking about this before we started recording. My coworker Jack Sobel tweeted this out. Per an email sent to students, Notre Dame has adjusted its final exam schedule with the 12-team college football playoff in mind. Exams which would ordinarily end Friday, December 20th, will now end Thursday, December 19th. The college football playoff first round games will be played December 20th to 21st. So in other words, the university moved up the end of exams a day so that it would not coincide with the college football playoff. To which Tony Tony Miller on Twitter responded to, or asked Chuck Freeby, who's been covering Notre Dame, or I'm sorry, just high school sports and the Michiana sports scene for what, a long time.
Sure.
And Chuck tweeted and he said, outside of COVID and 9/11, I can't think of anything that would have changed the final exam schedule in the last 40 years. So, Mike, as a former Notre Dame student athlete, what's your reaction to this?
I think it's better for the fans, right, and the student body, because if you've got a Saturday game that gives them that Friday to travel potentially, right? Is that how I'm reading this, Mike?
But
if I'm a player, okay, so that game is played on a Saturday and I still have finals on Thursday versus having finals on Friday. As a player, I don't know if that's like makes a bit of a difference for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Damn.
No, it's fine. So I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I mean, if there was news out there that, okay, the football team got an extension or something like that, a take-home test or something like that, that would be more newsworthy. I was an American Studies major, so I had to write a lot of papers for my finals, versus actual taking like a traditional test. And then I started to shout out to one of my ex-teammates. He's like a big shot now, so I won't use his name. But he taught me about the blank attachment. So I would ask professors for an extension on something, right? Because of football, like during the season, because it's tough. And I wasn't a great student. Can I get an extension? And it would grant me the extension. And then you'd be like, hey, Professor Singer, 2 days later, I'm like, hey, Professor Singer, thanks so much for the extension. Please see my attached paper. And then you wouldn't attach it. So you'd buy yourself another day.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's how I got by. D for degree. But I'm saying that, yeah, I'm mostly serious, but it does nothing for the football team.
Okay.
I'd rather see them be like, hey, Notre Dame's announced that they're going to get take-home tests for finals because we're in the playoffs. Versus, could you imagine you're studying for a final and then I got to go play Georgia 2 days later? Oh. Am I missing something? It's insane.
Yeah. You know how people really want to get the Monday after the Super Bowl to be a holiday?
Yep.
It's maybe it's something like that. It's something like, all right, let's just have final exams done so that our focus can be on the 20th or the 21st to be on football, which is kind of a cool thing for Notre Dame fans who want the administration to care more about football. And this is somewhat.
Well, you said our, you were like our. So our OUR, that's like, okay, again, the student body, fans, but student body can clean up their finals and then get on a plane to go watch us play something, right? Versus
if it's at home, if they're playing a home game. Yeah.
Fair enough. Or they could travel elsewhere, travel
elsewhere. Yeah. Easier on them for that day or travel. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm going to get myself in so much trouble because Notre Dame's got this honor code thing. I don't want them to redact my degree or anything, but I'd be like, if you knew Jeremiah Love was in your calculus class and he's literally got to go play Georgia, wouldn't you kind of show him your answers or something? Wouldn't you feel compelled? You're sitting in one of those auditoriums and I'd just be holding up my answers so Jordan Love can just get his B+ and move on with his life.
No one's doing that. No one will ever do that. No, of course not.
One can dream.
Anything else on your mind, Mike? What is going on inside that beautiful noggin of yours?
Would you say beautiful mind?
Noggin, but mind works as well.
Here's where I'm at. Went into this in kind of in depth on Patreon, but I'm sitting there going where's okay, all the scheme stuff is fun to talk about. You've got a new group, a new quarterback, probably a more competitive guy just in his DNA than maybe a Sam Hartman. Less hair to worry about. And I'm just like, what kind of energy does this 2024 team hit the field with at Kyle Field? I'm curious to see that. Are they kind of like wild men, or are they more stoic? That's where I'm starting to think about the scheme, and all that stuff will play itself out. There's a lot of youth at a lot of different positions. And I'm like, boy, I've gone back and forth, been like, we're going to lose the game.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm turning the corner towards optimism. And a big part of that is like, man, if those youthful kids play with a little bit of recklessness, I think it'll suit us.
Yeah. I'm trying to,
you know what I mean?
Trying to find the PDF of our magazine to see what my score prediction was for Notre Dame A&M. For the magazine, we have to get that done pretty far in advance. I want to say I picked Notre Dame 20, A&M 17. I like a low-scoring, kind of ugly game. I don't think either offenses are going to be very sharp. I think both defenses are going to be really, really good. And that's what I'm rolling with 3 weeks ahead of the game. 2017 Notre Dame road win. Ugly, late win, field goal, something like that.
I don't know. The last I checked, A&M was favored by a point. But I could sit there and go back, and we got 10 minutes left, give or take. It's like, I don't know if I finished my thought earlier on Elko, Denbrock, whatever.
Yeah,
if we're nervous about our tackle play, does Elko just let his front four eat? Do they find success early, whereas he doesn't have to bring additional pressure, and then he can play more coverage and force Riley into like making some throws?
New York Giants. This is the New York Giants 2008, you know? That's what they did.
Living in Tom Brady's lap, right?
Yep.
So it's like, and this is what you're saying, like you're going to kick the game off. We're just going to play vanilla, let our front four eat. And we're going to feel each other out the first couple rounds. Or does he say, to hell with it, all gas, no brakes, and he brings all this extra pressure, and then he's just going to man up on the outside, which allows Denbrock, Mikey Mismatch, we started calling him, Mikey Mismatch, to find some mismatches. It's hard to create a mismatch in a zone coverage.
Yeah.
And obviously there's nuance to everything. You could tell me, oh, zone man, whatever. Like, I get it. I'm just curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Is there anything to how well Elko knows Leonard?
There has to be, dude.
Yeah.
There has to be.
Just like is it like a tendencies thing, or
it's absolutely a tendency thing? And that's when we're talking about the progress of a quarterback. We all have bad habits that you fall into. Go with me here. Like, take Teddy Rizak. He's a safety that's moving a linebacker. He has no bad habits. He's never played the position before.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas Riley like becomes a quarterback, and he's going to have knee-jerk bad habit things that he just instinctually does. And has he had enough time with Gino throughout the course of fall camp to kind of like iron out some of those things? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the line jumped to half a point. Yeah. I could see Notre Dame winning handily. I can. Yeah. I really can. Now A&M's running back's hurt, but our left tackle's out. But that's another thing we haven't got a chance to talk about. I was never that crazy high on Jagasaw. I mean, Jagasaw's still – well, he's a baby. He's a brand new player who's never going to be like an All-American this season at left tackle, maybe down the road, a season or two down the road, guard, tackle, wherever. But, I mean, either way, you were breaking in a youngster at both tackles. So that's like – it hasn't been that big of a deal to me, because it's not like you lost Joe Alt.
Sure.
That was bona fide.
Yeah.
So that's about all. I thought that's all I got, man.
Yeah. I just don't see Notre Dame being able to win this game big. With it being the first game, I feel like the first games of the seasons it's just such a crapshoot. I think if this game were a little bit later in the season, maybe when Notre Dame goes on a run of like, you place this between like, I don't know, like Navy and Georgia Tech or whatever. I can't remember the exact schedule, but if this is like game 5 or 6 or something, when that kind of several cupcakes in a row and you Then you get A&M. I feel like I'd feel a little bit better, but
who's your offensive MVP for us? It's in this game.
Oh, in the game?
In this game. Player of the game offensively.
Do you have one in mind? Because
It's
I got 3 in mind.
It's so lazy.
Just love.
But it's Jeremiah Love. I'm going to make a T-shirt, put that on my bingo card. I think Jeremiah can save us. Because I sit there and I think if we've got a little bit of a leaky run game or something like that, Jeremiah is totally different. He's not Audric. As much as we loved Audric and all this stuff, he wasn't like physically a special gifted player. He played hard and all that.
Yeah. If someone hits Audric at the line, it's gonna be tough. Like, but someone meets Audric or Love in the hole, he's bouncing. You know, you juke him out of juke someone in a phone booth.
Well, it's like Walter Payton used to say that. He's like, let the first guy go.
Yeah.
I'll take care of the first guy. You guys block the second one.
Yeah.
So I just sit there and go, it's like, even if it is clunky, and they're not going to be great at tackling, presumably. I mean, we're not going to be great at tackling just because it's for the first game. It's the first time you're really getting a chance to do this thing all out. I mean, I could see Jeremiah Love helping us win by a bigger margin. I hear a lot of people talking about what's the total, Mike? You got the total points?
I'm sure I can look it up.
You're not the only person talking about a low-scoring game.
All right, let's have the crack staff look this up. We have Notre Dame, Texas A&M.
46.5 beat you to. All right.
Yeah, 47. But
ESPN had a 46.5. Yeah. So you bet the under.
I am.
I'll take the over. I'll take the over in the Irish by like 10 to 14. I changed my mind. 3 days ago, I thought we were going to lose. Talk to me in another 3 days.
So wait, what do you think right now?
I think we win by like 10, 14 points, and I bet the over.
Oh, hell yeah. Dude, inject that into my veins.
Yeah, why not? You got Jaden Harrison back there. I just think playmakers on defense, that to me is the next evolution of Golden's defense. I've said this for over a year now, is to score points on defense, not only turn the ball over, but score points. That stuff doesn't happen on accident. You've got an All-American kick returner. And more like I said, like a Jeremiah Love is just, he's a different kid.
Yeah.
And then you got Riley that if it does kind of break down, can he create something spontaneously with his legs? A lot of the runs that you've seen from him, they're off to the right, they're quarterback power, they're design runs. I would love to see him just get loose and get busy. And that's another thought about wide receivers when it goes to breaking tackles, Mike. We've been doing this show for a while. Like, whether it was like a Buckner interception or like, he tries to make a great play. And there's like Jaden Thomas, who is it? Tobias Merriweather's running across the field, and the ball is like half a man behind him, and they don't even make an effort. It's like the quarterback's trying to make something happen on the play breaking down. You got to meet him halfway. So that's another thing that I'll be looking for, like this year, this game from the wide receivers, is breaking tackles and then making a play on a contested catch if and when the play breaks down and Riley's just squirts loose and he's trying to make something happen eyes downfield. I can just picture that stuff.
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video if you've not done so yet. Make sure you subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Also, check out Mike's Patreon with John Kennedy. Links in Mike's Twitter bio. So our next show, we will look to have Tim Hyde on, and we'll kind of do our season preview of the position groups and rank them. And also, I'm sure we'll have a breakdown of the game as well. So that might be a little bit of a longer show. We'll do it either probably not next week, but the week after, something like that.
That's good. It's turned into a tradition. The second annual Hyde and Goolsby positional breakdown letter grades.
And I talked you guys into upgrading the receivers
not
a
this
little
year.
bit, but
not this year.
Apparently, Apparently, I mean, you already are getting a little bit more optimistic about them just from fall camp.
I'm open. I am open to becoming optimistic. I'm not quite optimistic yet. I'm open to it.
All right, there you go. Folks, please, again, hit the thumbs up on the video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening via podcast, appreciate you as well. Please leave us a kind review wherever you listen to your podcast. Goolsby, great show. You brought it as always. Appreciate everyone watching. And as always, we will catch you guys next time.